What would you say the average commissions an average salesman would be making?
It's crazy, man. To put it in perspective, when I started, the most that I heard guys make was like $150,000. And they were managing 30-man teams, had been doing it 5+ years. I know rookies that are making that. It's crazy.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Boardroom Buzz here with the blue-collar twins, Jeremy and Jason Julio. Today, we have a very special guest, Chad Louk, owner of Prodigy Pest Control out of Sarasota, Florida. Chad has built a fast-growing operation in a year-round pest control market where there's no off-season and no room for mistake. We're going to talk about how he's scaling, what he's learned along the way, and what other operators can take from it. Chad Louk from Prodigy Pest Control Solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm this close to just changing the name because everyone just says control, and I'm like, I should have just done that. Very close.
Thank you for joining us today on a Boardroom Buzz. We're super excited to hear your story. From what I've dove into so far, it looks like you have an amazing story, amazing growth. So let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into pest control, and let's go. Let's start from there.
Yeah. So I think a lot of your other people have been on the show, probably same background. I was raised LDS, got recruited to knock doors. My scoutmaster owned a pest control company, and my two other brothers went out and knocked for the summers. I never was great in school, and so I just kind of figured that's going to end up what I'm going to be doing, going door-to-door sales. So
What year was this, Chad? What year was that?
Oh, my first summer was 2015. So
That's when you started knocking doors, 2015. You did your mission, and you were, what, 18 years old?
No, didn't do a mission. I got pretty roped into the door-to-door space and just decided to keep grinding. So
You skipped the mission?
Skipped the mission, not LDS anymore.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I had to start in that. My family was LDS. Most of us are not anymore. I still have a lot of great connections to the church. Really respect what they do over there. I'm Christian now.
Okay, cool. I mean, that's great. I mean, either way, LDS is awesome too.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's why I'm here. Honestly, I wouldn't have had
Right.
the relationships I had getting into pest control without it. So I definitely owe a lot to that church.
So that's interesting because I feel like a lot of the door knockers are so good at what they do because of the experience of doing that 2-year mission, right? You didn't actually have that experience. You just went straight to the doors.
Yeah, I think they do it for free, right? They're going out and prospecting for the church, and they come out and I can get paid to do this. But I think it more so is the work ethic that the church instills in the guys. A lot of youth are just very wired when it comes to growth and self-potential. They also don't go out and party. They're not chasing after girls. They're looking to build families. And so I think just the mindset that church has builds up better reps.
Right. So back to you. So
How was that experience door knocking?
I mean, I still do it. Personally, I go out and train our rookies. I still knock with the guys 11 years into this. I've had really good experience knocking doors. I love it. It's what got me into this company, what got me into the industry. It's what built my company. I think there's a lot of pros and cons to door-to-door, and we try to do it the right way, the ethical way. But
what's the wrong way?
I mean, so we market out to other companies, and I think when you're like the hired gun, a lot of the, I guess, ethics go out the door because it's not your company. You don't really care. You're going to sell an account and you're never going to see them again. You're just looking for that quick payout, and that's kind of how the industry's been shaped. And so I see a lot of that with competitors, hopefully not with much of our company, but we really focus on retaining our reps longer, making sure that they're bought into the brand, bought into the culture of the company.
So do you hold on to your reps year round, or are they like, do you have to like start from scratch every year? Do you have like, I guess, campaigns that you're pushing out on a quarterly basis or annual basis? How does that look?
Yeah. So like when I got started in this industry, a lot of guys that were doing this job was to pay for school. It was a summer internship for them to go out, make some money, maybe 20, 30 grand, right? And then get into their career, and that's it. It's definitely changed. There's a much higher pay. The commissions are basically double what I was making back when I started. And so a lot of guys that have gotten into this, I think they've just realized that the money in this is awesome, and so they stick around. We're in a unique situation. My company's based in Florida, so it's not necessarily a summer job. We can get reps to stick around a lot longer. But I also see the value in not doing door-to-door. And so when we don't need it in a branch, basically we phase it out and we utilize our marketing company to retain those reps without losing that pipeline.
So that's right. So the audience understands you have a pest control company, and then you also have a marketing company as well, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, what's the name of the marketing company?
Same thing, just Prodigy Marketing.
Oh, Prodigy Marketing. Where did Prodigy come from?
Just an arrogant 21-year-old who started a company and thought he knew everything.
How cool is that, though? I mean, 21-year-old, like, starts this company and you started by knocking doors.
Let's rewind a little bit. So you knocked doors for 3 years. Where was it where you're like, you know what, I can do this on my own. I want to go start my own business.
It wasn't me realizing that. I was with my Scoutmasters company for 2 years. Then I went into another larger firm, worked for them for a year. And I was going to follow that corporate ladder, becoming a sales manager, buying into maybe a 20-80 split in a branch. That would probably take another 3 years to get there. My older brother and the brother of the owner of the Scoutmaster came to me and said they were going to open a company in Florida. And I just thought, hey, that's going to fast track my whole trajectory of this industry. So I was 21 at the time. Well, I guess 20. I was 20 at the time. And I just thought I got nothing to lose. So I partnered with those guys. Company name is Infinite Pest Solutions. And we were opened in Naples. That was 2018 for 7 months, built it up to $800,000 in revenue. And I just didn't really like the market personally. I felt like my plan of doing door-to-door to grow a business, it was just too small of a market to sustain that. If you know anything about Naples, it's a snowbird community. So during the summer months, which is peak door-to-door, half your clientele are gone. So I didn't see it being sustainable in what I wanted to do. And so I ended up selling out of that partnership. And I didn't want to go back to knocking for someone else. I liked the idea of owning my own thing. So I just started my own. That ended up being Sarasota, Florida, where I live now, just an hour and a half out of their market, which was my non-compete.
So then you got out of that business, and then you started to say, I'm going to start project on my own with one truck and an idea, and you're knocking doors yourself.
Yeah. So they gave me a 2006 Ford Ranger, rusted out, 200,000 miles on it. I had $7,000 that I used to start, get the business license, rented an operator, which don't do, by the way. That's not what you want to do. But at the time, that's all I could figure out, and ended up getting the guy to come on full time pretty quickly after. And yeah, I was just lost, started from scratch. I had no experience running a business and felt pretty lost, but luckily some people came in the right time and I was in a good market. We just hit a construction boom in this area, and there was no substitute for hard work. I went out there and knocked and found the clients.
And where are you at now in terms of size of your business?
So we have 3 offices. We're opening our 4th next week. And right now we have 54 trucks on the road.
It's incredible, right? And what was it? You said 11 years in?
From me knocking my first door, yeah. I've owned the company 7.5 years.
So that's amazing growth, dude. And what percentage of your customers would you say are from knocking?
Right now, about 65%. And that kind of goes back to us opening the marketing company. So that happened last year. I just saw the sustainability of door-to-door. Not that our client age was bad or anything. It's a very expensive way to grow. We have no debt. Everything's been self-funded or just grow slow, right? Not that we've grown slow by any means, but I just figured I need to figure out other ways to grow this business. So we really focused on the inside sales, technician sales, and I figured I'm really good at sales too, so I should just be training these guys to do it too. It's a way cheaper way to grow the business. The sustainability of it's much better. The reputation of the brand's much better. I think door-to-door is great for opening offices. I still utilize it in every new office that we do. I just feel like once you hit a certain point in a branch, it becomes less of a successful way to grow business and maintain.
So it's not a strategy that you're using to build the business. It's just like to kind of like jumpstart the business.
Yeah,
the different locations.
I think on one of your podcasts you talked about if you were to get back into it, you'd probably buy a brand. It's kind of the same mindset. You can pick up a company, right, and they have a list of customers in that area, or you can go out and just send some guys to knock for you for summer, grow it up, hit the benchmark that you're wanting to do, and then from there grow it organically.
How is the marketing piece been for you for Prodigy? Are you getting a lot of like interest from other pest control companies who you're selling the service to?
Yeah, definitely. So we've interviewed probably over 100 companies. I'm pretty selective on who I can work with. But the cool thing about all that is I get to talk to so many different clients that have much larger pest control companies, and I get to work inside their companies. So I get to learn from them firsthand how they're running a successful company while growing their company.
So that's interesting. So do they, obviously, I'm sure you disclose that you have also a pest control company.
I think that's
right?
why they like us, right? There's a lot of door-to-door marketing companies out there, but they're just sales organizations. They don't know anything about maintaining the clients. And so I think it's pretty one-sided. Anyone can go out and create customers, but retaining is where the money and value is. So I think that's where I come in as a more valuable company to hire.
How many reps do you have?
We'll start this year with about 100.
Wow.
And I say start because a lot of them don't make it. It's a tough job. So usually we'll lose about 30%.
Okay, that was my next question. Was what is the success rate for one of the sales reps? And average you hear these crazy stories about how much these guys are being paid or how much they're making through their efforts. Would you say the average commissions an average salesman would be making?
It's crazy, man. I mean, to put in perspective, when I started, the most that I heard guys make was like 150,000, and they were managing 30-man teams, had been doing it 5+ years. I know rookies that are making that. It's crazy. Yeah, it's a really cool program that's grown. I think there's a bubble. I think it's maybe a little overpaid, but that's why these guys are sticking around. They're making so much money doing this job. But that, I'm not going to say everyone's making that. There's always the 1%ers, right? We have plenty of guys who come out and make $10,000. I have a lot of guys who make 6 figures in the summer. I have a lot of guys who do this year round and make a couple $100,000. But you got to remember, this is door-to-door sales. It's a really tough job. They're working long hours. They're going out, dealing with a lot of negativity, a lot of rejection. Certain markets like Florida, you're dealing with no soliciting neighborhoods. So basically every day they're talking to police, showing them their permits and why they're allowed to be there.
Yeah, people have guns. People have guns in Florida.
Yeah, there's a lot of craziness in Florida. So they definitely earn their keep. I'm not going to tell them that they're overpaid, but it's a very lucrative job when you're really good at it and you put your full into it.
What has been more challenging for you, the pest control space or the marketing business?
Marketing.
Yeah.
It's funny because I come from the door-to-door side. I'm such a unique person in that side, though, because I decided that I didn't want to be traditional salesman on a Segway wearing the polo, like the frat boy, Chad. So I ended up learning more of the technical side pretty early into it. I wanted to see how the technicians did it, learn the chemicals, the competition. And so I pitch more on knowledge, more on inspection. And so I'm actually a terrible trainer because I talk to these young guys all the time. They're like, they can't remember all this stuff. And so I like more of the technical side of the business. I like running the business. I like learning the service side of it. I feel like I'm better at that now. I still love the sales side. I love working with the young people in our company, doing the door-to-door side. Keeps me young. I enjoy working with them, seeing them succeed, doing what I did. But I truly enjoy growing the pest control side more.
So are you training your salesmen? You're actually the guy training them?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have a chain of command when it comes to managers and offices. I can't run 100 reps, but I do make a habit each season that we start a new program to get out on the doors with each and every new rep on the team. So typically that'll be within the first 3 to 4 weeks they come on. I just want to make sure that they align with my vision and that they're not saying things that I don't want to be said.
Right. And I've heard that is the difficult piece for if I were to hire your marketing company to get them to sell my product the way that I want to sell it, right? But it sounds as if, like, again, you're doing a nice job of training your guys on, the technical piece of just pest control overall, which is, I think a differentiator. What else differentiates you from other door-to-door marketing companies?
Yeah, that's a great question. So back on the training side, each and every one of these reps goes through my pest control company. So if I trust these guys to work for my brand, you should be able to trust that I wouldn't send them to you if they weren't capable of representing us. We do training on that. We also train them on the technical side. So in Florida, you need a certified operator. I'm very blessed to have one that is a board certified entomologist. He also owns his own CEU school. He's licensed in 14 states. So he's just great. He's my technical director.
A huge asset.
Huge asset. We really appreciate him. And he has a CEU school. So we make all our sales reps go through this training program of 40 hours on top of their 40-hour sales training. So most companies are going to be pretty sales focused and not so much on the tech side.
So talking about training and all these things that you got going on, when did you start implementing all those things? Like you said, you started off with one truck and an idea. How did you pivot and start taking hats off?
Little by little. It's funny. Last May, I was actually servicing some homes with, at that time, we probably had 40 plus trucks on the road. That was just for like 2 days, but whenever.
Was that because you had to or because you wanted to?
Yeah. Whatever the business needs me to do, I'll do. I'll get out and knock doors if I have to.
That shows your employees that, look, if this guy's doing it, I definitely have to do this, right?
I'm still in every technical meeting that we have. Our technicians this morning were here at 8 a.m. doing our training with BASF. I sat in that hour-long training with them. I've heard it for years on end. Some of those techs have heard it years on end. We bring our chemical reps in and have them do a presentation. I don't want them to think that because I'm the owner, I'm above them. So I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that is well reciprocated. Now,
What
I'm
the-
a very expensive technician. I shouldn't inspect homes. So my time's definitely better utilized elsewhere. Not that a technician is not an important role in the company. It wouldn't exist without them. But yeah, I'd say it was probably around year 5, which would have been 2023, where I finally hired a service manager, an office manager. I was in talks with bringing over someone from a competitor of mine to become a director of operations. And I finally could focus more on growing the business rather than working in the business. And that director of operations who was with me within a year became my CEO. He's very talented. Been really blessed to have him here. And that's when I was able to step back completely and focus more on growing the business in terms of opening the new branches, focusing on maybe acquisitions. We got into the door-to-door marketing side for other companies, which I've really learned a ton from. I've really appreciated it. You know, you hear the percentages that people make in these deals, but unfortunately we pay our reps really high too. So I'm not making that much money on those deals, but I'm able to retain the reps. And so when I do open new branches, I'm able to bring them back into my company to grow it. So it's been a great asset to the Pest Control brand.
Where are you recruiting these guys? Are they all from Florida, or are they where do you get them?
So like I said earlier, I'm a terrible trainer. I'm also a terrible recruiter. I don't know why. I don't think I connect with the younger generation anymore. I'm very lucky to have some guys that have been in my pipeline for a couple of years who just have been treated well here. And so when they're on their way out, maybe their younger brother, younger sibling, a friend, I get a connection with them. So all of my reps that have ever worked for me, I'd say about 90% of them have been through referrals.
You said that you're terrible at training and recruiting. What are you not terrible at?
You know, I think I don't want to have a big ego. And so you said taking off hats, getting roles out of the company. That's been a very good strong suit of mine, is realizing what I'm not good at. And so I've been able to replace myself in other things. I think I'm a great salesman. I think I'm a good leader. I do really well leading our troops, making sure that they feel confident working for Prodigy. I'm good at taking opportunities too. I think a lot of people that I know that are successful make quick decisions. The people that need to think and figure out every possible outcome and why something doesn't work out and what could go wrong, those opportunities pass them by.
It's interesting. So do you say that when a decision comes, like an opportunity comes, do you jump right at it, or are you saying that like
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Something comes up and I'm like, that's cool. I'll figure it out later. I'm not going to miss an opportunity. And when you take a split second to think about something, people already sense the doubt in your mind. And you lose credibility.
I forget who said it. Someone mentioned something about, he's the type of person that'll jump off the side of a mountain and build a plane on the way down, versus.
It's a good thing I'm a pilot. I'll figure it out. I'll catch you right.
Are you a pilot, you said?
I am a pilot, private pilot. So you can't hire me, but I'll figure it out.
That's really cool. How long you been doing that?
2 years. I got it with the hopes of being able to fly from branch to branch rather than drive to all of them. So for business reasons, I've decided to do that. But it's actually been a really good hobby of mine as well. I really enjoy flying.
That's super cool. Jonas is doing that too.
I know, I saw. Yeah. I wanted to stand out. I felt like I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have any really certification that made me unique. And I figured that's
Like
something
fuckers, I can
that's
fly a
pretty cool.
goddamn plane.
Right? Yeah. So it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Hopefully I don't get drafted now that I can fly a plane, but no, it's been a great asset to me.
Outside of building a very successful business, 2 businesses, flying a plane, you would say is more difficult than that?
The cool thing is you're in control, right? You don't have people to rely on. It's all on you if the plane goes down. So I would say in that sense, no.
That's great that you say that, right? Because with business, we're at the beck and call, or like we are always reacting to what's happening within the business. If technicians aren't showing up, if they mess something up, if there was an accident, but what you're saying is flying a plane, you are in full control. So it's all on you.
Correct. I mean, you're the one who passes off on everything. Before you get in that plane, you make sure that all the books are active and that the maintenance has been done on it. If you took it up because it wasn't properly maintained, that's on you. It's not on the mechanic. You should have looked at it. And I think, I guess in the same sense with a pest control company, as an owner, if something goes wrong, you're still to blame. You're the owner. You're the one in charge. So your people are an extension of yourself.
Right. So I was going to lead to that. Like, has there been times within this journey of your business with how fast you're scaling? What are some of the headaches that you had to deal with? Was it maybe technicians being overworked or not being able to service properties correctly, not being able to train properly because of the quick growth? Have you bumped into any issues like that?
Yeah. So last year we grew by 50%. So there was a definite good 2 months where I was in that truck where every time we put out an ad to hire a technician and we filled it, we needed another 2 technicians. And we were just playing catch up with that. We were selling so much. We were doing so great on the sales side that we were hiring so quick. And during that 2-month span, you're rushed to hire the bad candidates, right? Maybe not the perfect one. And maybe your training, which is normally X amount of time, is now cut short 1 or 2 days, right? And we just saw the quality drop exponentially during that time span. And so we actually phased out all our sales team during that 2 weeks from past the 2 months. We sent them to another market, reset, brought them back.
That's
They
interesting
hated it
because-
at the time, and it was very stressful. And I felt like I let the whole team down, that they were going to have to move markets and spend a day drive into a different market. But they came back, and it was like it had all reset.
Because you guys couldn't take on any more new customers.
Yeah, I mean, we were actually having technicians from other branches and extended stays come over to try and service those because we were just so behind in one of our new branches.
And the
So-
last thing you want to do is tell someone you can't service them.
Yeah. I mean, especially on the sales side, if you're scheduling out several days, it loses a lot of the reason on why you're at their doorstep in the beginning. Like, if you don't have the availability, why are you here? So, and I think for me, I'm not a sales organization. I'm a pest control company, and I want to maintain my reputation. We have a really good reputation. We have a really good Google reviews and the service. You know, we care really extensively about our service. I'm licensed in every category in Florida. We don't have to be. I choose to be. I want to be the quality company here.
Well, that's why it stressed you out, right? Because you care about those things. So when you get like hit with this like crazy growth, and these are good opportunities, you get excited. But then when you feel like maybe something may fall through the cracks, or you may not be able to service this the way you want to, or get to it as quickly as you want, that becomes stressful because again, it's probably something that you value or that's really important to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good problem to have, right? Like, no one ever complains that they're so busy they can't get the jobs done. So I definitely wasn't upset that had happened. I just felt like I let the sales team down, that we couldn't deliver on their expectations. The customers ended up sticking. We had relatively the same retention rates in that branch as we did in any other. So we maintained the quality and the service, which was super important. And that's the big thing in sales too, is the high commissions on the door-to-door side. If you're not retaining those accounts, it becomes increasingly expensive. Almost to the
what
point
is
where
your
it makes no
churn rate?
sense. So last year we had a blended average of 14% fall off, which I'm very proud of. I feel
Yeah, that's
like
great.
industry average is closer to 25. So again, that comes back to, I believe, our training, and that was actually factoring in also our marketing company. So other offices that we're working for as well.
Back to training, are you using any specific tools for training, Trainual, or anything that's making your training smoother or easier?
Yeah, so like I said, the technical trainer that we have, my director, he has American Pest CEUs. It's a website that we developed. We have our own sales training platform as well. I've also got, like I said, go out and train with the guys as well. So
You created a sales platform, like a web-based type of program?
yeah. So our sales reps have their own training program. Our technicians have their own training program. We have our own training program for the office staff. All softwares, all websites.
So I guess you essentially bypass like a Trainual and just created your own.
Yeah. I mean, every company's different. I don't think I could go into your business and tell your employees what to do. I don't know how you ran Last Bite, but at Prodigy, we have a certain way of doing things, and we want to make sure that someone coming over from a competitor doesn't think that that's the same way things are going to get done here.
Other than door knocking, what is your next best return on your investment getting customers?
Yeah, so we've actually phased out door-to-door in 2 of the 3 branches that I have now. So one is still getting it, and then the one I'm opening next week obviously will have it as well. So we're still growing those other branches. We've just moved to more of a inspector/outside sales program. So we have 8 outside sales technicians that go out and do rodent exclusions, termite installs, mosquitoes, you name it. We're just really focusing on cross-selling our current customers. And in the past 2 months, that's actually outperformed our door-to-door team with just 8 guys.
Wow.
So really excited about that program. Our inside sales, we had an SEO company. I've had several. I'm sure a lot of people know. They'll promise you the world and what they're going to do, and then they just outsource the rest to someone overseas. So finally, we pulled the plug on that, hired someone in-house, and we've gotten some really good results on that. So our inside sales program's also up pretty drastically from last year, which we started doing a couple months ago. So I'm really happy with that results as well. And then I think ultimately with my sales training is just getting the technicians to sell as well. They're the cheapest and best form, right? They're at the home. They're the qualified performer. A lot of other industries have figured that out. Like if you call a plumber or an AC technician, they're not sending a sales rep and then a technician. The technician is the sales rep. He's going to go to your home, go in the attic, say, this passes out. And so we're really focused, and that's where I've come in really well with my company, is training everyone in the company to be a salesman. Even to the very end of it, like we have a retention department. So when accounts are canceling, we actually are selling revenue in those every single day too.
Are your technicians production pay, or do they get hourly or salary? How do you pay your technicians?
All of the above. Yeah, so we do love the production pay, and that goes back to my door-to-door roots. If you're working harder than someone else, you shouldn't be on the same pay. Hourly pay is too mainstream. So I like the idea of production pay, but I also, there's state laws that you gotta follow. So there has to be some sort of, in Florida at least, a base pay. So we do have a base guarantee for our technicians, production based, and then they have a sales commission as well.
And you find that that's motivating and driving them to, do the best that they can?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, especially on retaining their route. If you give a technician a very defined geographical area that's going to be theirs and you don't change it, if you're constantly changing their territory, then they lose all incentive. But if you say, hey, this is your territory, this is your box, whatever customers are in here, those are your customers. If you want to make more money, you have to sell. We're not going to do it for you. You have to grow your own route.
And that allows them to build real relationships with their customers also.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer that the same technician should be going out to the customer time and time again. I have kids at home. I don't want a stranger coming to my house. I want to know that the guy coming to my home that's going to be inside while I'm away is going to be someone that I've met, I've talked to before on that initial appointment. He's going to be the same guy going to my home back to back to back.
I think that's really important as well.
Do you incentivize you guys for Google reviews too?
Yeah, we do. We use a software called Applause. They've been awesome. So we're not forcing our guys to like hound people to send out reviews. The software does it for them. And then we just give the technician $10 if they get a positive review.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't want to feel like our clients are, we're buying reviews. So we want it all to be organic. So they're not ever asking them. We just say, hey, go above and beyond. And our average technician will get 3 reviews a week.
How many reviews you guys have currently?
Across all platforms, about 3,500, I believe.
3,500.
An average of 4.9 rating.
That's amazing. Really
I'm really proud of that, especially with the door-to-door guys. A lot of my reviews that are negative come from people who have never been a client of ours. You can be the best salesman in the world, but someone just doesn't like soliciting, right? They don't like you knocking their door. So a lot of reviews are from someone says, you knocked on my door. I don't like that. So that's unfortunate. You can't please everyone. I never went into this expecting to have a 5.1 rating, but I'll sell it for 4.9.
So let's talk a little bit about you and your like work ethics and what your day-to-day typically looks like. So run me through like a normal day in the life of Chad Louk.
Yeah, and this is going to be terrifying because I'm not going to say I wake up at 4 a.m. and get in an ice bath. Unfortunately, no. My day starts probably like 7 a.m. I'm not the type A hustler that maybe people think I am. So yeah, 7 a.m., get up, eat breakfast with my family, drop my son off at school, get to the office around 9. From there, I work from 9 to about 12, grab lunch. I go to the gym in the middle of the day, which again, maybe people won't like, but I like it because no one's at the gym during that time. And a lot of my technicians that I've actually gotten have come from people at the gym. People that go at 12 to 2 are typically guys that are working, maybe at a bar or a restaurant at night, or they don't have a job. And so I've rubbed shoulders with a lot of people like that. And I've also rubbed shoulders with a lot of really successful people during that time that have become really good assets to my company. So I like going in the middle of the day. Probably not what most people would recommend. From there, I go back to work. So I go back to my office from about 3 to 6. And then from 6 to 8, I'm probably spending time with my family. And then from 8 to 11, I'm working on the door-to-door side, which is a long day. I'm aware it's a very long day. But from 8 to 11 is really the only time I can do that because, one, I'm in Florida. I'm on East Coast time. So a lot of my guys are out working in the Midwest. So we got a different time zone. And a lot of them work till that time as well. So if I need to speak to them, I don't want to pull them away from their job. And so I have to wait till the dark, essentially, to talk to my reps. So it's probably why I wake up a little bit later, but I work a little later. I like the break in the middle of the day. It gives me time to reset and wear different hats. The beginning of the day is more on the pastoral side. The end of the day is more on the door-to-door side.
And the gym, is that 5 days a week, 4 days a week, 3 days a week?
I try to do 5, yeah.
That's good.
He looks athletic. He looks like...
Looks athletic and is athletic are two different things. Yeah, I can move weight, but just don't try to play basketball with me.
You can't shoot a basketball. Come on. Come on.
I'll block one.
Is Prodigy involved within the communities that they serve in Florida? How is your community presence?
My first office in Sarasota, where I live, great community presence. We've done so much charity work here. We've done so many events. Today I went out to lunch with my family. I'm sitting out. 3 people recognized me. And my wife's like, "You're a celebrity." And I'm like, "Well, it's small. Sarasota's a small town." But it's really crazy. And then I get in my truck and I drive off, and then I turn right and I see one of my tech trucks on the road. And it is a small town, but it's really cool to see that. Our other branches where I don't live, I felt like our community presence hasn't been as great. So we've looked into other aspects to get that kind of brand awareness out. And I want people to like who they're hiring as well. So I was thinking about doing billboards, actually, which is just another really old form of advertising, like door to door. So I think just getting my brand out in our new branches, I'm trying to do that. But yeah, Sarasota, I think we're a really well respected brand.
So when you first got started, did you go to like the chamber meetings and do the leagues? You did all those.
Yeah, I did all that stuff. Yeah,
and I think that stuff is very important. You got to get your name, your face out there. People want to give back to who support them. So it goes a long way.
That's actually, so one of the people I ran into at lunch today was in a B&I that I was in 4 years ago. And he's like, "Yeah, and he's like, I'm still a client of yours. I referred you someone last week. It's crazy." But during that time, when you're going to the chambers and you're doing the B&Is and you're doing the Little League sponsors and you're going to the autism walks, as a salesman, I'm like, my time can be spent so much better on the doors. But you don't realize the things that you did then will carry with you for years.
Oh, definitely. You know, those are the things I think that make businesses take off to that next level. I think that's the what kindling in a fire.
Yeah, and to the smaller brands that are starting out, it's really hard to see that there's no money coming in during that time. But just the branding that you get during those, like if you go to a 5K charity run and you sponsor it, you got like 5,000 people there. You're never going to talk to that many people in a day knocking doors, right? So it gets your brand out there a lot. And I at the time didn't see the value in it, but definitely later on, I see the value.
Do you think that, your routine and, working out on a daily basis, do you think that's what helps you with like clearing your mind and because I think, doing what you're doing with the marketing company and operating the pest control company, I know there's layers, but all the weight at the end of the day ends up on you. How do you keep a clear mind and manage stress?
Yeah, I heard you ask this question to Rife, and he said, "Yeah, I just don't really have stress." I'm like, that's so cool, dude.
He's got a cool mindset.
That's awesome. Chill guy. And even when I was his size, I was running like a chicken with my head cut off. Yeah, I don't know that I really do a good job managing that. Like I said, I'm working some crazy hours right now. I work more now than I ever did too, which is crazy because I would have thought the bigger I got, the less I'd have to work. But I really enjoy what I do, and I find fulfillment working with the people I work with and giving back to them. And so I think that's what keeps me going. I think of late, what keeps me up at night, like the risk tolerance of it all, vehicles on the road, misapplications, liability, that's really where the stress load comes in. Working with a lot of the young door-to-door reps is also very stressful. There's a lot of turnover in that industry. You've got a lot of poaching back and forth to other companies, very cutthroat. So a lot of my stress load comes from that. Maintaining the pest control company itself, I love doing it. There's very little stress in that. It's very enjoyable for me. And those employees are very solid. They stick with me for years. I have very little negative interaction with our pest control company.
And then with your satellite locations, how do you build those out? Are they just like a storefront or space to kind of keep material in? And then do you have like a headquarters where everybody kind of, you have your sales reps and your CSRs? How did you build out your locations?
Yeah, not everything's glamorous. So I said I don't have any debt, and that's kind of where I'll lead into this, is we literally just rent a house for our sales reps to go in, and we run it out of a garage. So I have a headquarters in Sarasota where about 65% of my revenue comes from. So all of my corporate call center, you call it, would come out of this office, and it's a nice office. Our other locations, so the other 3 locations, we run out of houses. And then when we get to about 1.5 to 2 million, we'll rent a small, just, flex warehouse space. But you got to find ways to save money where you can. And
I think that's great. And I haven't heard of that. And it just kind of put a light bulb in my head, because it reminds me of when we first started our business. Like we had 3 trucks in front of my house, 3 trucks in front of his house. I mean, what was the most amount of trucks you had at your house?
At one point, I once had 7 trucks in front of my house.
Yeah, I mean, I started my company running it out of my 1-car garage townhome. them, they'd pull the truck out of the garage. I'd have my car in the driveway. So they'd move my car out of the driveway at like 6 a.m., pull the truck out, do it every morning. I'd leave chemical in a lockbox on my front doorstep.
Yes. Yeah.
So
we'd have meetings in our basement. We'd have like new hires come into the basement of my house, take their shoes off. It's just like,
yes.
You got to do what you got to do. So we've done really well with that. It's a very cost-effective way to grow. And another cool thing is if you can hack the Google system, right? It's really hard to get a home to have a Google location. But if you can actually get that far and do that, you won't find a better local SEO. Like you're right there. You're in the neighborhoods. And if you have a Google page with, when you start it up, we usually have a 5.0 starting up with like 100 reviews. So when people look at pest control near me, I'm in your neighborhood. I'm right here.
mm-hmm.
So rather than some, corporate or industrial space that's 5 miles out of town. So It's also helped a ton on the internal side. But we do see like you can't run a big business with like my second largest branch has 15 technicians. Obviously, we can't run it out of the house at that point. So we do have a space in that second office.
I think it's great. It's good to hear that. Again, I think these podcasts are for other operators to listen to and kind of get little nuggets and bits of advice from guys like you. If you had to offer any type of advice on, a business that's, maybe hitting the ceiling at like $1 million in revenue, 5 technicians, 5 trucks, what were some things that you did to kind of get past that space and get to kind of where you are now?
It's a great question. Truthfully, my favorite part of the business is actually from $0 to $1 million, which is why I think I'm opening more branches rather than focusing on growing our current branches. I find a lot of joy in the startup phase of it when you have no presence and it's all against you and like you control the picture from there. There's nothing holding you back. So I think I'm really good and really talented at that 0 to 1 million mark, but a really profitable business, like if you're at that stage, the 2 to like 2.5 is where it really gets good. And so it's not, my advice would be don't give up once you hit $1 million. Definitely get to that next step. Obviously, I've grown all my branches with door-to-door to get to that stage. But door-to-door will only take you so far because from there you have to maintain those accounts. So the big thing is having key players to maintain it. Every one of those branches have had solid service managers. We do retention specialists. So these people in my company, our sole job is to retain accounts. So we do not give up our accounts. If someone's trying to cancel, we will do whatever it takes. We will lose money on that account to keep them on. We are confident that we can make it up to them in the future and keep them as a long-term customer. So from there, I'd say cross-selling those accounts, right? If you want to take it to the next level, you got to have multiple sticky accounts. They have to have second, third subscriptions with you.
200%.
200% satisfaction guaranteed.
Yeah.
We had the guy on from out in Australia.
Gary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in my contract, it literally says satisfaction guarantee. If you call me twice for a retreatment and you're not happy, I'll refund you your last service charge.
Yeah, it's important. So, it sounds like you have really good hires and people in position in different management roles. Do you have a specific type of hiring process?
Yeah, so we typically let the department heads of each one of those hire. Rather than having one HR person in charge of all hiring, I feel like it's job specific. So like an inside sales manager is going to hire all the sales reps. An office manager is going to hire all the CSRs. A service manager is going to be in charge of all the technician hires. And I find that those are specific to the job. It's hard to hire for something that you've never done yourself, which going back to what I recommend to owners is that you've worn all the hats too. I've mentored a few people and I loosely use the term mentor. You can't hire me. I'm not a coach by any means.
You don't have
don't recommend hiring me. Yeah. So I would say to those guys, a lot of them come from the sales side and they try to just start a company and hope that it figures out. They're like, I'm just going to throw a bunch of accounts on, which is basically what my mindset is when I started, but they never teched. And so a lot of these guys start these companies like, why am I losing all these accounts? Well, you have these technicians that came over and you don't have them to the certain standards that you think you do. And so you need to go out and tech. I've teched over 3,000 services. I'm sure you guys have hopped into trucks as well, right? And you've answered the phone calls, you've answered the cancellation calls, you've called for collections. You have to do every role in the company, and not to say that I'm good at all of those. At least I understand how it's done. And so when we're hiring for those positions, I would never want someone that's just in HR hiring for something that they've never done themselves.
Makes sense. I appreciate that.
So you mentioned mentors. You don't want to be anyone's mentor, but who do you have as a mentor? Who do you look up to when something hits the fan and you need to talk to someone? Who's that person to you?
Yeah, so I'll take a step back. That's a great question too. I was just saying I've never been for hire. I hop on calls probably weekly with people where I'll talk to them for like an hour and give them advice. But I always say, like, just because it's worked for me doesn't mean it's going to translate over for you, right? my situation's different. My market's different. The time that I started was different. Everything's changed. So I think it's really important that we share. And that's why I hop on podcasts like this, is because I think the more information that you get out there, maybe someone will reach out like, hey, I'm in a similar situation as you, right? And how can we figure this thing out? But who I look up to, probably my dad. Look up to my dad. He's one of the best salesmen I've ever met. And he works for me right now. My mom works for me as well. They've been just a great asset to my company. My old boss where I was working at, Jared Borg. It's funny, I was probably this close to getting fired by him when I was with him, but he's been just a great asset to me as time went
What'd you
on.
do to get fired? Why would have you gotten fired?
Oh, man. Okay, so I was knocking doors in Virginia in 2016. And the way door-to-door works is you have commission structures. So you hit a certain amount of revenue, you get a bump, right? Or at that time was the number of accounts. So that second summer, I was like 4 accounts over. But if you have accounts fall off, cancel, by the time your payments come out, if you're below that, then your commission percentage drops. So the company I was working for was in Virginia, but they also had a branch where I was from in Chicago. So I went back home after the season had ended in Virginia, and I asked his partner, Kyle Woodbury, if I could work for them in Chicago. And he said, yeah, no problem. So I was out knocking there for like a week. My older brother was in that branch as well, and I was selling a couple accounts here and there. And then my dad, who has had 3 sons work for pest control for years, and his 2 oldest are now making more in pest control for summer than he is in his career. So he's like, I got to try this. So I'm like, yeah, why not? Come out with me. Let's go knock doors. And my dad gets the cops called on him
No.
the first day. And Jared is like, he's not an employee of ours. He can't work for us. Like, this could have been really bad. Like, you're done. You're done for the season. You'll come back next year. And yeah, it was a loose fire. It was a suspension, I guess you could say. But in the heat of the moment, like, I get it. And what was he really going to get out of me those next like 3 days? I would have been working there anyways. So no hard feelings for that. But Jared, over the course of the couple years that I have owned a business, has when I've called him, he's always answered and given me advice. Obviously, he had a really successful exit in his company. And yeah, I just look up to what they built.
I think that's really cool that your dad and your mom both work for you. And then you mentioned your older brother. Is he involved in the business or has his own business at all?
So I'm one of 5 kids. And in one capacity or another, every one of them has worked for me. And I say my other brother, who was a partner in Infinite Pest Solutions together, I'm actually knocking doors for them now. So all 7, counting my parents, are in pest control today.
Wow. That's pretty cool. That's very cool.
A family business, yeah. So my youngest brother was in IT, and I really tried to get him into pest control. I got him out knocking doors, and it's just not for him. He's more of a technical guy. And so he ended up becoming the IT director for one of the companies we market for, Rose Pest Solutions in Chicago.
You mentioned Chicago. Is that where you're originally from, Chicago?
Yeah.
Rose Pest Control is a pretty big pest control company.
That they are. They're the oldest company in America.
That's right.
I love working for them. They're Bob Dole,
course you do.
the owner. He's just an awesome guy. He was a former U.S. congressman, just really well respected in the community. You talk about giving back to the community. You can't learn from a better company than that. Just an amazing reputation. So, and their CEO, Curtis Rand, is probably one of the smartest people in pest control I've ever met. So I'm very blessed to work for companies like that and get paid to do so and take all their ideas over to my company.
Hey, you surround yourself with big time players. You've learned a lot. It's great. So let's talk about goals. What are you? I mean, you're at over 50 trucks now. You have a couple different locations, and you're very young. How old are you?
29.
You're 29 years old. Holy Christ!
I got lucky starting at 21. It kind of fast tracked some things for sure.
Well, if I asked your Chad at 21 years old, where would he be in 8 years from now? Do you think he would be sitting in this chair right now talking about how awesome your business is and the success that you've had?
Oh, I probably would have talked myself up for sure at that time. Let's see. So the first year, my goal was that I'd have 3,500 accounts. Just that was the goal in the whole stage of the business. 3,500 accounts, hire an office manager, hire a service manager, don't work. That was the goal.
Don't work.
Yeah. So at that time, I got, what is that? 12 trucks. So that would have been awesome to be at that stage. And when we hit it, maybe 3.5, 4 years in, I almost had forgotten about that goal completely. Like I was just so far looking to the next stage. And I think any real successful entrepreneur, you never get complacent. You're never satisfied with wherever you're at. As far as goals of like an exit or something, I mean, I won't lie to you. I'm sure like you guys did. It crosses your mind all the time. Like, man, I'm working so hard. And you hear the multiples that these companies are getting exiting. That sounds really nice. But as you said, I'm 29 years old. I don't want to shortcut what I could potentially build here. I know a lot of companies that have exited that have had great opportunities and the employees stick around, but I'm I'm pretty well connected with my family intermixed with the company. And so I got to make sure that what I'm walking away from is going to leave a legacy behind. And also, I don't want to do all that money anyways. I don't want my kids to just sit back and be like, oh, their dad doesn't work now and he's lazy. So
you wouldn't just sit there anyway. You'd find things to do or start another business or get involved in something. We're involved in something. It's like,
yeah. I know you've got a business and you still teach, right? And you're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Pest control is all I've ever done. I've owned the business the majority of my adult life. I knock doors. So I'm sure if I was to exit, I'd probably still maintain the door-to-door marketing side. I do enjoy that still. But as far as owning the pest control company, it just brings me a lot of joy. It brings me a lot of satisfaction. I feel like it's basically at this point like an extra limb attached to me.
It's an extension of who you are for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I talk about it all day. I just love this business.
Hey, listen, if you didn't love it, you want to be where you are today.
Yeah. I think people always talk about like being passionate about it. And they always joke like, you're probably not passionate about bugs, but I really am. I just like, if you look at my desk, I've got a fire ant colony right here. I've got a beehive behind me. Like I love the bugs. I love the technicians. I love working with the homeowners, fixing their problems. It's such a cool business where it's a reoccurring business. You really see exponentially the growth, right? Like it's not a one-time you're done and you're chasing the next deal. It's really cool to see the people that I signed up when I started this 7.5 years ago are still with me and they still have my contact and they hit me up like, they're still a part of Prodigy. And so it's kind of like building a community of my own.
Oh, I'm sure. Definitely between all your employees and like you said, your customers and being out in the community and you're out to lunch and you said you have 3 people, 4 people, stopping you, saying hello, Chad. Hey, how you doing? And then, driving home, you see 2 of your trucks driving by or, next thing you know.
Chad looks like he seems like a very likable person, right? If I saw Chad at lunch, I'd say hi to him too.
I'll let you be the judge of that. I won't speak for myself, but I appreciate it.
So, goals, back to like, where do you see yourself in like 3 years from now?
Yeah. So we've had a goal of being on the PCT 100. I believe we're going to be on that this year. So we did apply for that. Hopefully people watching this 6 months from now, I hope we are. So that's always been a goal I've been striving to be on. And every year the list just gets further and further away. There's a lot of awesome players part of that. But I think, I'm a very competitive person. And so I want to just continue growing every year. And I think getting on that list will push me because all the numbers are public. And so I just want to every year be better and better and grow the business. I would love to be like a mid-Atlantic / Southern powerhouse where people just know my brand and the surrounding states that we're in. This next branch that we're opening in Jacksonville, we'll probably close that chapter. Florida, we cover pretty much the whole state between my company and my brother's company, which we market for. So I can't go to his office in Orlando or Naples. So we cover the whole state. And from there, we'll probably extend to the surrounding states.
So you're down in like Miami, Jupiter, and then what's it? I like just south of Jacksonville.
In Augustine.
Love it. One of my favorite places.
So that's actually where my office is. So that's 30 minutes south of Jacksonville. So we'll be there April 6th. I'm very much looking forward to going there. I agree. It's a beautiful town.
Yeah, it's cool. Like a lot of history and stuff, which is nice. St. Augustine.
Yeah. So we'll be there. And then, I'd say having probably a dozen offices. Really, I want to continue growing the door-to-door side on the marketing and then using them in the pest control company. So I'd love to get to around 200, 250 reps. And and I say we because I'm no longer the sole owner of Prodigy. I've passed on ownership to one of my branches. And then not this branch, but the following branch, we're going to give away 5% ownership each for 5 of our employees. So I'm going to become an employee-owned operation. I want to give back to the people that have helped support us.
So that really incentivizes your employees. How do you pick those employees? Is by
performance?
Yeah, so there is a monetary buy-in. Not a lot, but just show that they care about the brand and they're bought in. But then it was based on a select group. So we interviewed 15 of them. And then from there, the people that were interested, we narrowed it down to 5.
I hear more people doing things. I think Jonas does something like that.
I know I don't know if the franchise would be the word, but he's had some of his door-to-door guys open up branches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which we've looked into as well. I think the problem with the door-to-door side is a lot of those guys make so much money on the marketing side that it takes like several years owning a pest control branch to get to that point again. And I think a lot of those guys are salesmen and they're not necessarily wanting to be entrepreneurs. Maybe they don't love pest control like I do. They just love the sales process. So I do like more of the employee side, like upper management coming in has been a big one for us. We had a service manager picked in one of that options as well. But yeah, my second branch actually has an owner, and he was a door-to-door salesman.
Does it get to the point where you then need to replace yourself and hire somebody that may have experience at, multi-state operation or like just even bigger than where you're at?
Yeah. So we've hired, like I said, a CEO who's replaced me in basically all the day-to-day big picture stuff. My technical director, who is super talented. I'm not an entomologist, not certified in 14 states. I believe I'm really good at the technical side, but he was just the right candidate for that. HR manager, I definitely don't want to do that. So I got someone for that now. Let's see. Retention department, I mean, that's just a very depressing job dealing with people that are upset with you all day. So also, although I was really good at saving accounts, just mentally could not handle that. People talking down my company.
Terrible. We had girls that we purposely had half-day shifts for them because it was like, I'm getting bit by mosquitoes, and then it's just like negative all day long. It's
and then you want to dive into that problem because it's your business, and you want to find out who serviced that property and why they did this. It's definitely consuming.
You take it very personally. Yeah. So actually, person for that job was my dad. My dad handles all the cancellations, and couldn't ask for a better person because he cares about the business because it's, his livelihood as much as mine. So it's been great to have him in that position. But yeah, I think for instance, the door-to-door marketing side, I've had a couple higher up managers have really taken over on the recruiting side, growing that side of the business. I mainly am in on the acquisition side of getting clients. So I find and broker the deals, set up the onboarding, and then I have a partner, my oldest brother in that business, who handles all the day-to-day operations like accounting, softwares, uniforms. He does a lot of the training, onboarding, contracts.
Have you acquired any businesses?
Not successfully.
Other pest controls?
Yeah. I've done 4 very small ones, currently looking at 2 that might be a little bit larger. And the ones I've acquired have not necessarily they went bad, but it's like for the amount of effort and work I put into them, it was not a good return on my investment. Like the last one we bought was 130 accounts, and that was about a year and a half ago. We've retained 108 of them. So obviously very happy with that, but it was like a 6-month transaction and took forever. And the amount we paid probably was more than we should have. So I probably wouldn't do that again until I'm getting into the 500 to 1 million mark. I don't think my no debt strategy could afford anything above that anyways. But for right now, that's probably the range that we'd be looking to acquire and see a good ROI.
I appreciate the no debt strategy. That was something we always, had in mind. We never wanted to have debt, and we maintained it. But do you think it will ever get to the point where you need to leverage any capital or no?
I think most people tell me I'm doing it wrong. A little background on why I do that, though, is my dad worked in pharmaceutical sales, made great money. I was probably middle to upper middle class growing up, and 1 of 5 kids, so we did well. And then the recession hit, and then Obamacare hit, and he lost his job. And so I went from that lifestyle to living on church food and subsidize everything. Our church was actually paying for our mortgage all throughout high school. So I've been through both, and I watched kind of their strategy of how they spent their money. I don't mean to trash my parents, but yeah, just they lived a pretty not frugal lifestyle. They spent the money to come in and didn't save. And that's just kind of a stressful life for me. I don't want to be in that position. So debt's been very concerning for me. I've definitely been in moments where my back was against the wall and I had to throw some of my personal money in to make things happen. But I would rather go slower and be in complete control than have someone else tell me what to do or tell me what I can and can't do, like maybe an equity split or a loan that maybe you realize the percentage that you're paying, like this wasn't worth it or you didn't even need it. So yeah, for right now, it's probably not something I'd be open to. And I'd probably rather have a partner come in with money in a branch of ours to make something happen.
Yeah, I respect that. I think a lot of, like you said, most people would say you're doing it wrong without, leveraging money, but we didn't do it and we didn't have to do it. And I wasn't personally comfortable with it either. So I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. I mean, I have a mortgage. My cars aren't paid off. I'm not saying I won't borrow money, but the thought of borrowing like a line of credit and you have to pay that back in a year or something like that, that's pretty stressful to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have enough stress as it is, right? So
yeah, definitely.
Don't want to add anything else to that. What else we got for Chad?
I think this was awesome. I don't know. Do we have any other questions?
No, Chad, listen, you definitely seem like a really cool dude, man. Like if I was like, do you get fired up? Cause you just very like even keel, like you seem like an easygoing guy.
I'm kind of jittery actually. I've been drinking an energy drink as we've been on this. So I'm glad that you said I've been mellow. That's awesome. But yeah, I'm fired up for the season. Actually, this is going to be a great growth year for us. We predict we'll grow about 40% this year, which is very scary at the size we're getting to kind of manage that. But this last off season, but the winter that we were in, we really focused on the systems and structures. So I feel very confident in our team this year. So right now it's just, fulfilling it. This past couple months where we weren't really growing, but we had all the systems in place, it's been like, when is it going to start? And so we're finally there right now. And I'm super pumped about that.
I'm pumped for you, man. I think that's awesome. And if anyone's going to do it, you're going to do it. And I hope that you get in the same situation as you were in last year, where you guys are like, hopefully you're not out on jobs, having to treat jobs. But if you are, that's a good sign you hit your goal.
Yeah,
I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. I'm ready.
I'm also you guys on the PCT 100.
Let's do it. Yeah. Also, super fired up to be on your guys' podcast. I've been a long-time listener, and I really appreciate you guys hosting me.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for joining us.